So, what are your thoughts on a lot of the commercial diets, like the keto diet, the low carb diet, gluten-free, and the intermittent fasting, especially for athletes?
Well, my first thought on it is that diet is a very misinterpreted word. So diet essentially means whatever you eat and drink, whatever goes into your body. And that's sort of been changed and misinterpreted over the years. And you've mentioned there a few different specialist diets. The danger with the internet is anybody can post anything they want on the internet. And the other danger for young people is that they get really hung up on the image side of things. All these different diets do is start to categorize these calories in different ways. So a keto diet, for example, will be incredibly low on carbohydrates and sugars. A gluten-free diet will be free of gluten and wheat and barley and rye and oats. And then you've got things like a vegan diet and meat-free diets. What you've got to remember is that as you go through your diet and you're looking at trying to peak your performance, you've got to make sure to choose something that suits you. And I think the key thing with a diet is to have an understanding of what it is that you want to achieve. So you've got to start to think, what is it that I want from this and how is it going to help me? So if it's going to be that you want to improve your performance, any diet that you take on board is going to take a week or two for your body to get used to it. If you do a really restrictive calorie-based diet that's incredibly low in calories, and using the example like we had earlier, you're an elite footballer that's coming out of quarantine. Number one, yes, because of the science and you're on low calories, you will lose weight. Losing weight is a scientific equation. But in terms of performance, if you're on a very restrictive calorie diet, you're going to find training really difficult. And if you do lose weight, you might find that you lose weight and the training that you're doing is detrimental to the weight loss that you have. So you can start to be in a position where maybe you're starting to have such a calorie deficit in your diet that everything that you're doing in training is becoming very, very difficult. It's really hard to do it. Your performance starts to drop off. So my advice in terms of the internet and diets would be very much to really research the kind of thing that you're looking at. And remember that diet should be sustainable. It's what you eat and drink. It isn't a crash course to achieving something. And then start to look at what could fit into your lifestyle. So from personal experience, I'm celiac, so I follow a gluten-free diet anyway. I don't have a choice in that. A lot of learning and retesting. Have a little look in the internet and decide on a diet and make sure that that's sustainable and make sure that's something that you can do over the long term. Have a little go at it. Take it for a week or two. Make a journal, write some notes. Have a little reflection at the end of each day about how you feel, what your energy levels are like, what your mood's like. If you want to lose weight or gain weight, monitor that on a week-by-week basis, not on a day-by-day basis. And then start to make decisions based on the experiments that you've done on yourself. Really important, you don't jump on the scales every day to have a read. You always weigh more or less at different times of the day, depending on hydration levels, depending on a number of different factors, hormone imbalances and different things. So a week by week, once a week weigh-in would be more than enough.
And I wanted to ask, is there a certain way that you can control the quality of your weight loss? Because I read somewhere that you could be losing just the fat, or you could also be losing muscle. So are there certain diets that put you at more risk of losing the muscle?
Yes, very restrictive diets will result in quicker weight loss. So again, as a really gross example, if you decide to fast, there are things like juice detoxes and cleansers that are advertised on the internet. And that means your body's getting very few, if any, nutrients, depending on the liquids that you're drinking. That will result in weight loss over a sustained period of time. And then you start to look at what's actually being broken down in your body. Yeah, you'll lose muscle. Or it's likely you will lose muscle depending on the makeup of your body. So generally, to sustain your muscle and to lose fat, you want to be in a position where you choose a sustainable calorie deficit. You want to take your weight loss slowly, and you want to make sure that you track it and monitor it. There's no cookie cutter diet that people can pick up and will work for everybody. And that is the biggest missell on the internet at the moment, is these, you'll lose weight, you'll lose a stone in 21 days, lose 5 inches off your waist. It's all absolute rubbish. And people need to bear that in mind and look a little bit more critically at what that means. And usually these crash diets are something like a fasting diet for 21 days, which, yes, might help you lose a hell of a lot of weight in 21 days, but is that going to be sustainable across 6 months? No, of course not. Is that going to be sustainable alongside training and alongside your normal life? No, of course not. Learn from other people and share the kind of things that you're trying with others and get their feedback too. And as long as that's done alongside some tracking and monitoring around BMR and around the calorie deficit or gain that you're trying to create over the course of the week or the 2 weeks or the month or the 6 months, then you're going to find that you start to make incremental steps towards where you want to be. Without the monitoring, without the tracking, without listening to others and learning, without sharing with other people, you're fighting something in the dark that you can't see. You're just lashing out, trying to grab hold of something, and you've no idea where it is or how to control it. And that's when people get really down. They get really frustrated with their progress or lack of it, and they start to be really negative towards it. And that's where some people will start to give up and say, well, I've tried it and I can't do it. And how often do we hear that phrase, I've tried that, can't do it. I've tried losing weight, I can't lose weight. Everybody can lose weight, but it has to be done with some knowledge and some tracking and monitoring along the way as well.
What are some of the biggest mistakes that you see young athletes doing that are negatively affecting their performance?
Usually, if it's a young athlete, more of a physical appearance, then they do the fad diets like the ketogenic diet or low fat, or they have a low caloric intake ng diet. So actually, ketogenic diet, it's a diet used for people with epilepsy. What we studied kasi ketogenic, it's for that. So far, not much scientific study pa to advise it to people who doesn't have those kind of diseases. But sometimes I have clients who used to do the ketogenic diet. If you feel good about it, go ahead.